Uh, Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today I want to do a review for that new movie, Hamnet. I got myself some food, some tacos. This is the tacos right here. Just gonna have one of these tacos real quick before I get started. Try out this. I mean, if you know this taco place, cilantro, let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below. I'm gonna put some of the green sauce on there. I'm gonna try this out. Yeah, green sauce is really good. So put it on here. Try to raise this a little higher. Alright. Yeah. Sorry. I was really hungry, so kind of had a little bit of a food review there. But oh, and I guess this is sparkling water. Hamnet, directed by Chloe Zhao. Man, those tacos are good. Yeah. Yesterday, went to go see Hamnet and Sisu, Road of Revenge. I saw the 4:10 p.m. showing of it. It was pretty bit packed, so it was a very anticipated film. I didn't hear of it until like a couple months ago when the first trailer I saw the trailer like only like a month ago. It was like the marketing for it was not like very like long term. It was very like abrupt. So, but I just remember hearing everyone talking about being really good at the film festivals and how it's like a very emotional, powerful film. The cast, I've seen Paul Mescal before in the Gladiator film, and I thought he was okay in it. He wasn't great, I don't remember how much I thought he was, how good he was. I don't remember how good I thought he was really exactly in my review of that movie. But I mean, I remember, as far as I remember, I thought he was okay. Um, and then so like seeing him in this, doesn't really look like Shakespeare to me, but I thought that he could still pull it off. Because sometimes you get actors who don't look like the people that they're historically supposed to be playing, but they still could make something out of just a character or a person. So let me try this water real quick. That shit good. this sparkling water is good. Yeah. Paul Mescal, I saw him in the trailer and I was like, okay. Jessie Buckley, I saw her in the trailer, and I don't really remember. I know her face. I'm pretty sure I've seen her in some movie before. You know, but I just don't. I don't really recognize her. So I kind of was indifferent. She had a very unique face. She has a very unique face. And she is like she has screen presence. So I was kind of engaged. Um, she just seemed very interesting of an actress in the trailer, so I was kind of interested in seeing the film just based on the leads that were leading the film and the hype behind it. So yeah, I go to see the film. After seeing it, my feelings about it, I was just kind of disappointed and kind of just I didn't like it. I just kind of felt like the execution of the film is too on the nose, and it's like there's a point, on paper, and I think contextually, the story is that they're trying to adapt or say is very interesting and beautiful, and even how the film ends, I believe, on paper, it all builds up to something very interesting. But I think the execution with the cast was, I don't know. I think this film could have done with some editing, because it just feels like bloated. Of just, I mean, and maybe it's not bloated, and it's just the acting. Jessie Buckley as Angus Shakespeare is, in my opinion, the best thing about this film. She is great, but even she, I feel like how much this film is just kind of miserable. It starts to feel redundant. It just feels like there's no, and I think it's one thing if these are your certain characters that are side characters are kind of redundant because they don't really play a pivotal part in the story. But your lead characters have to have some sort of range of behavior, and it's just the cause and effect of the story just doesn't really, to me personally, make sense. And maybe this is just they're literally taking historical document of what happened in his life, but at the same time, I don't know. I'm not really that familiar of Shakespeare's life like that. I've seen some documentaries and I'm vaguely aware, but not at all of his real small detail, the details in his life. But yeah, let me say this. Let's start with the bad. Let's do the bad and then the good, okay? The bad in this film, the number one bad I had in this film was Paul Mescal as William Shakespeare. I thought he was okay, and I mean it, okay. He's not great. He was okay in The Gladiator. He didn't really bother me. This film, I think this film demands more from actors and actresses. I believe that you really have to have some nuance in your acting, and it can't just be yelling and crying and screaming and just it's snotting and just it can't just be over the top. It has to be in a nuance to it. You have to, and I think that's what real great acting is nuance. And for me, I saw a couple of reviews before watching Hamnet. There's this one reviewer I watched. Yeah, her channel is Deep Focus Lens. Let me see if I can. probably blurry. When she says the same thing, I mean, I watched her review and I saw what she was saying, and like everything she said is exactly how I felt when I saw it. That it was overacting. It was just like, and she says it's like this humiliation ritual. Is like and it's like, and she points out how they're like, it's like the actors are being forced to do like over the top performances just to get like this Oscar bait shot that's going to be used at the the Oscars show where they put how they have the film reels of like certain scenes and they're like and the nominee such and such. Let's see the scene that is the nominee that made them a nominee. And they show each scene of the film is each film that's to show the actors' performances, and that's what the film Hamnet feels like. It's this film that was kind of like marketing acting, but it's not really like genuine. It just feels like let's just get these like extremely hyperactive emotional shots, and but it's like they don't really. The thing is the story layout doesn't complement itself. It's kind of like it's just kind of redundant, and trust me, I am a huge fan of Shakespeare. I did the Macbeth play in high school. I played Banquo, so I understand Shakespeare is not like an action movie, or I'm not like a dumbass that's sitting here saying like, oh yeah, I wanted to be like Die Hard. I wanted to be like this fun action pack. Like you have to have characters going on a journey like Lord of the Rings. It's like no, I'm saying that you could still have the story feel like it's going somewhere with characters in one room. Like for example, The Anniversary, starring Betty Davis. I keep bringing that movie because it's literally one of my favorite films of all time. The film takes place in a living room the entire time. Majority of the film only takes place in a living room, and it involves a family. But the story feels like it's going somewhere. It feels like you've been on a journey in one location the entire time. Where in this film, it just feels like there's no transition of emotions. The lines that are delivered, I've heard old English, spoken in a more engaging way. The way these actors, mostly, I think Paul Mescal. I feel like he's just nothing what he's saying feels resonant, and it's like the dialogue is poetic, and I can't tell if it's really Chloe Zhao. Not like not maybe she doesn't really understand the old English because or it's really it's more of the performances, and I think it's more of the performances because I think she knows because I feel like on paper the script makes sense. All right, I went on Wikipedia to kind of get all the film's layout. Hamnet is a 2025 historical drama film co-edited and directed by Chloe Zhao. So she co-edited, who co-wrote the screenplay with Maggie O'Farrell. Okay. So she co-wrote the screenplay with Maggie O'Farrell based on the 2020 titular novel by O'Farrell. Okay. So she is based on Maggie O'Farrell's book that she wrote. The screenplay is. The film follows the marriage and close relationship between Annie Hathaway, Angus Hathaway in the novel and film, and William Shakespeare, and the impact of the tragic death of their 11-year-old son Hamnet on their lives, inspiring the creation of William's play Hamlet. It stars Jessie Buckley and Paul Mescal as Angus and William, alongside Emily Watson and Joel Alwyn in supporting roles. So I think the screenplay that Chloe Zhao and Maggie O'Farrell came up with is great. I do love that, and I love the music, and I think that Chloe Zhao is a great director. Um, but yeah, the bad with this film. Paul Mescal as William Shakespeare was not. He's not good. I truly did not like his performance. I thought he was lifeless in it. Um, it just the line delivery didn't hit me. You know, and as a fan of William Shakespeare, I love Shakespeare's plays. I love Shakespearean plays. You know, Mel Gibson's Hamlet is literally one of my favorite films of all time, and I love Mel Gibson's performance. I love the whole cast in it. Helena Bonham Carter was in that movie as well. Along it's just, and they show you that is a prime example of what Shakespeare is. A Shakespeare play is, you know, and it's just the subtlety. Where when I'm seeing Paul Mescal play William Shakespeare, I really just don't feel anything from when he talks. He's just so. He has no screen presence at all. And it's like, and I'm just like, dude, like, you can find someone else for this. Honestly, the one actor, Joe Alwyn, Joe Alwyn, I felt more emotion coming off of him than the lead, Paul Mescal. Joe Alwyn, honestly, was pretty good in it. Yeah, I thought, I felt like he was better, honestly, than Paul Mescal. And Paul Mescal is supposed to be a lead, you know. And I even remember there's a scene around the end where he's working on the play Hamlet, and his actor that's playing Hamlet. I know this is very confusing when a movie like this is about a play and you're talking about the movie. It turns into like Inception, but in the movie, William Shakespeare is scolding an actor who's supposed to be playing Hamlet. The actor who's playing Hamlet in real life, his name is Y.O.B. William Shakespeare in the movie yells at this actor and tells him, like, you're just saying the words. You're not putting any feeling behind it. And then Paul Mescal goes on to recite the line that Hamlet says. And he's just saying it loudly. And that's it. But it doesn't resonate with me. It doesn't mean anything. And I think that scene falls flat for me because, like, this could have been a showcase of real acting. It should have been almost fourth wall breaking, really, where he's kind of like he starts to kind of like he shows him what acting is. You know, that could have been a great scene to show like this is what Shakespeare was. That he was, and that his disciplined, militant approach to things comes from a real emotional, personal place. It's like because he's basing his son's death, he's basing the Hamlet on his son's death. You know, Hamnet is where where he gets the name Hamlet from. You know, so it's like, and you could tell and I think that's great. You know, and I think that point could have been highlighted, better with a better performance. Paul Mescal, when he did that scene, it just felt like, okay, he just said it loudly. And he just sounded he just said it loudly and angrily. And it's just like, okay, but that's not what Shakespeare is, though. Shakespeare wasn't just being loud. Thou has it now, King Quarter, damn us all. You know? And then there's another scene with Paul Mescal playing Hamlet's father in the stage production, you know, in the movie, and he's on stage as his father, and like he's delivering these lines that I remember seeing in Mel Gibson Hamlet, the father in that doing so subtly and beautifully, just like the horror, the horror. You know, and it's the silent, emotional, and how haunting that was to me as a child watching it. And then seeing him, Paul Mescal perform it, and he's just kind of like over the top with it. He's over here and getting all in his face, hugging it like. It's just like, God. It's kind of just cringy. You know, and I think that's not it feels like the movie is showing the stereotype of what theater is, and I've seen good theater production before, so it's like that's the thing. It's like someone who's a fan of live performances, live acting. It's kind of like this doesn't feel. It feels like actors acting. It doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel authentic. You know, and Jacob, I have in the list for the second thing. Jacoby Job as Hamnet. I think the kid is I know it's gonna sound weird, but I think the kid is too good of an actor. Where he doesn't feel like an authentic child. It feels like he's like like those like child prodigies that come from like royal acting family that's gotten like training since he was like 3 years old, since he was able to walk, you know. So like, because he just felt so like he felt too mature for his age, and it just didn't feel natural. Like even like I remember one scene where he's crying that his dad's gone, and he's like, then he starts reenacting, saying like, "Yeah, when I have my blade, you will see I'll be the not all Tory mate." And I was just kind of like, I don't know. This kid just feels like he doesn't feel like a real kid. He feels like someone's son that's a prodigy, that's being trained and groomed to be a actor when he gets older. You know, and then people could argue, well, yeah, well, I mean, that fits the role because, you know, his son in real life was, you know, he is Shakespeare. He's the son of Shakespeare. But it's like, I don't know. I think it's more. I think it'll hit more if you kind of felt the humanity, you know, and it's a little bit, you know, it's just, I don't know. I don't know. And then there's scenes with that kid that just doesn't make sense, like the supernatural. I have it on the list too. Supernatural elements. I did not like the supernatural elements. Like his sister is sick with some like deadly flu or something, where she has a buildup in her throat. She has this bulge in her neck, you know. And I'm like, yeah, she's gonna die. And then he sits next to her, and then he's like saying like, because their mom had this crow, or I keep saying crow. It was like a falcon or a hawk. She had when she first met William Shakespeare. It died, and she buried it in a hole somewhere. And then he's like saying he sees the hawk in the air. And I mean, on paper it's very beautiful and tripped out, very poetic. It's kind of like I mean, it sounds on paper it sounds beautiful. I do think the story, the screenplay is beautiful. I can't argue that. The screenplay is beautiful. Let me write that. I'm gonna write that down. The screenplay is beautiful, but you know, it just didn't make sense to, like, because it's like, isn't this supposed to be like a real story? Like, is this kind of like a biopic? Why are we adding in like fantastical elements, like where he slept next to his sister, and he was almost like doing a ritual, like breathe in my air, let's breathe together. And then the next day, she wakes up, the sister's okay, and then he's sick and he's dying. And then he dies like in this violent way, like he's just like sitting like convulsing, and like the mom is like holding him and stuff, and it's sad. It's extremely sad. Nobody wants to see a child begging for their life, but it's just the movie the entire time. It's just like it's like misery porn. It's just like it's just endlessly like just slow and sad, and it's just like Shakespeare is tragedy. Shakespearean plays is tragedy. You know, I totally agree with that. Shakespearean plays are a tragedy. You know, but I never leave those plays feeling like, God damn, like, oh my God, this is just, you know. And I understand it's like, and it's like you can make a movie like about the death. That's why I was attracted to the story, because I was like, wow, that's an interesting story. And I think again the screenplay is great, but I think it's just the execution of the scenes, or it's just. That's why I do think this movie could have been edited a little bit more down. And then this thing, Chloe Zhao did the editing, you know, and she was a co-editor, co-editing of the film. And I feel like sometimes it's not good to have the director edit stuff, because the director will just come and say, keep it, let's keep it. And that's the problem with this film. I felt like things were just, it's too much. It was bloated. Whereas there's some stuff that's just like, it might translate better on a novel or in a book when you have the time to read it, you know. And you need, and books are it's a certain format which encourages long-winded explanation of things, where a film kind of like it just kind of just drags. It's just kind of like, I just feel like it's just endless. Like I need some sort of like rhythm here, like boom ba boom boom ba boom ba boom boom ba ba boom ba boom boom ba boom ba ba boom boom ba boom. It's like something that has a rhythm. When it's kind of like ba ba ba. At first you could be like, oh, it's kind of like, it's probably stale at first, but it's gonna mix up and do something. But when the whole film is just the entire time the same rhythm, ba. Bob, 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 Bob. It just gets kind of like monotonous and mundane and redundant. And it's kind of like, okay. Like by the end of the film, I was kind of like, I'm ready to go home now. Like this is just like, I'm not getting into the half. The one of the leads is not pulling enough weight at all. Paul Mescal, he's not pulling any weight at all. That film, he's just completely miscast. I do not like him. Maybe he's good for another movie, you know, but as William Shakespeare, hell no. He just has no screen presence at all. I think it's a role that he was completely miscast in. And I fucking argue this point. Keep putting the same actors and things over and over again. Stop trying to make it people of Hollywood. The film industry needs to gamble on new faces. People that have a good record, probably in theater, a good record, but stop putting actors that you want to be it people. Stop doing Vanity Fairs. Like, we like this person because maybe they're the son of such and such, or you know, they are part of this clique of such and such, or we want them because they are aligned with our agenda, such and such. It's like, this is not art. This is a fucking club. Stop that. Make art. Get a person who fits the role. God damn, at this point, I kind of want the guy, Joe Alwyn, to play William Shakespeare. I felt more emotion coming from him. He chewed up more of the scenery than fucking Paul Mescal. Paul Mescal is just so boring. Paul Mescal is so boring in the movie. I was like, damn, let me do it. Get out of the way. Give me the lines. Let me do this shit. All that over the top, and then one of the scenes, you know, he's like, his wife is like talking to him after he gets in a fight with his father, and it's just like there's no build up to it really from him. Maybe if you had a better actor, he could find out the motive of the character, you know, because in Hamlet with Mel Gibson, even when I was a child, I didn't know what the hell they were saying. I understood the motive
because of the emotion and the acting. You could tell what people were, what they were, their intention through the acting. Where I genuinely didn't understand his motive in the film. William Shakespeare through Paul Mescal. I didn't understand his motive. There's so much I could complain. The beginning of the movie where he's eating lunch or with his brother and he's acting like a little child. It's like I don't understand that scene. It's like why is he acting like a child? Like playing with his food. Come on, man. Come on, stop taking my food, bro. Come. It's like these guys look. He looks like he's like a grown ass man. Like why are they eating like that? And then the dad being like extremely aggressive is like, what is he supposed to be interpreted? Is this like what age was William Shakespeare? Was he like really young at this point? I'm so confused. It's like because why is his dad treating him like he's a boy and stuff? It's like and smacking him when he's like I'm about to go and then smacking him across the face with a belt. And it's like he's like a grown man. Like and then when his son William Shakespeare gets mad at him and attacks him. See that's the thing. That's why I'm like. I don't know if it was just, I think it's miscasting. I really do. I think it's Paul Mescal is miscasted in the film. But, yeah, I talk about Jacoby, if that's how you pronounce his name, Job, as Hamnet. I think, yeah, like I said, that kid is overacted. I didn't like the supernatural element to it. There's one scene where he was cross-dressing, and I'm like, I mean, it just doesn't really add anything to the story, in my opinion. I'm like, okay, what does this mean? What? I didn't really understand that. Like, when he was wearing his sister's clothes, I was like, what does this have to do with the story? Like, okay. Maybe I just don't understand. But I just felt like a lot of things were just kind of happening that had nothing to do with each other. And I was kind of like, oh, okay. And yeah, and then the Noah Job. Now, his last name is the same as the other kid's name, and this is why I'm starting to get mad again. It's like, is this some kid? Are these two kids the kids of some famous person or a producer or an actor? Because the kid Noah Job, oh my God, that kid is horrible at acting. That kid is so bad at acting. The scene where he's on stage, like when he was on stage performing, it was just so cringe. It was just like I was watching a high school theater production. I was like, Jesus. Like this is just so cringy. Like okay. And then the scene where he's supposed to play, he's playing the scene where Hamlet is sick and he's dying. He's on the ground. He's like, I die. It's like, again with gosh darn yelling of these lines. It's like this is not Shakespeare. Shakespeare is not yelling lines. I understand for the scene on the stage where he's yelling lines, but it's the whole movie was doing that. So it's maybe if they only did that for that scene at the end where he's on stage to show, because I understand when you have to yell on stage, because back then people didn't have microphones, so they had to get their voices across the room to the back of the room so people could hear them. So and it was literally taught to me when I did Shakespeare that you have to speak these lines loud enough so everybody can hear it. So you have to kind of yell these lines, but at the same time it's like it's just I feel like the lines, yes, you're yelling it, but even when you're yelling these lines, it's only yelled. You're only carrying your voice, raising your voice just for auditorial purposes. I feel like when you're in a movie, you don't have to do that. I feel like if Shakespeare wanted to, he wouldn't need you to do that. He'd be more concerned about the emotions that you're putting in and understanding what your character's saying. And that's the thing. It just felt like at that last scene, the kid was just like reciting lines. Like this whole time he was up there just talking, I was just like, I really don't give a fuck what he's saying. And I think that's the thing. You're doing bad at Shakespeare lines when you're like, because I don't think you have to know what he's saying in the old English text or what it's saying. I think you just have to feel it. And I think you're bad at performing Shakespeare when I'm not feeling what you're saying. I mean, literally, Paul Mescal's William Shakespeare tells the actor Hamlet that's playing Hamlet that he needs to say it with emotion, not just recite the lines. But I want to move on because that was kind of this. Oh, this is really it's just the acting that really kind of pissed me off because I think this is a movie that's supposed to showcase acting. But God, man, the pacing wasn't good in my opinion. I think it just feels like it's spinning its wheels in like one location and one note. I think you could do a lot with the tragedy of a son dying. But it needs to be some range. It needs to have. There's more. There's nuance to that too. It's not just one feeling of just sorrow. It needs to be a range because it just becomes tedious and exhausting after a while. And yeah, like I said, it's just misery porn. That's what I feel like. It just felt like misery porn. And I didn't like the supernatural elements. So that's all the bad. Now the good. Jessie Buckley as Angus Shakespeare. She's the best thing about the film. I think this is really, she carries the entire film. I think if you had a weaker actress, this movie would not work for me at all. This movie is definitely a standout role for her. I think she definitely deserves a award for her performance. I mean, I don't necessarily like the direction of how she was directed to behave, because I think it's more Chloe Zhao trying to make it like this, like intense, like visceral drama rather than just working on just the subtlety. But I think, yeah, Jessie Buckley was incredible, and I highly am excited to see what she does next in her career. The cinematography, was really good. I think the lighting was amazing. I think the colors were great. I think that I think that Chloe Zhao is good at capturing certain scenes and shots. And she has a very natural eye and vision. I do like Chloe Zhao as a director, but I think that she hasn't really. I haven't seen Nomad yet. I kind of want to check that out before I give her a definitive, critique on her directorial ability. I thought the music was good in it. I thought there was great costume design in the film. I think there was great set design. Everything felt like real. I do feel like the environments looked real. Everything did feel real. It didn't feel cheap. Nothing felt cheap. Everything felt real. Only thing I can complain is why Angus kept wearing the red dress for the majority of the movie. Because I don't know. It's just it's just like she's wearing this notably red dress, but it's just like the entire time. I'm like, do you ever wash the thing? Do you have any other set of clothes? And she does change it like at the end of the movie. Like at the end of the movie, she does change her clothes, and it's noticeable to me because I'm kind of recognizing like, God, did she not wear that red dress like the entire movie? It's like, do you have any other like clothes? And then that makes me think: is there like some sort of subliminal message behind that? I am interested in watching some like explain essay videos, like people that are more aware of the subtext of it, and people especially people who read the book that the screenplay is based on. I think that'll be interesting. Um, Joe, I already said Joe Alwyn. I thought he was great. He was noticeable in it. Um, everyone, the whole cast, you know, the whole cast was great except for Paul Mescal and Noah Joby. And I think Jacoby Job is good, but I think he's not right for a role. I think you needed some kid that's a little bit more natural, that felt more like authentic, not like some kid that's being trained how to act. You know, in like the one of the highest theater schools in London. Okay, I think you need some kid that feels like a natural, real person. You know, and now that I see Noah and Jacoby have the same last name, it definitely makes me wonder if they were related to someone who has like some connections, and they're showcasing their kid, because especially Noah Job, that kid is horrible at acting. That shit was cringy. I was just sitting there like, I'm not sad. I'm just kind of like not, and I feel like I was trying not to laugh. There's a lot of scenes in this movie where it's like I'm trying. It feels I don't feel connected to the point when they're yelling that sometimes I'm kind of like I'm trying not to laugh. Not exactly with Jessie Buckley. A lot of her scenes I did feel emotion because she's just great. But with Paul Mescal, there's a lot of scenes with him I'm like, oh my god. Screenplay, I think it's a great screenplay. I just think the execution was bad. You know, the you know, the direction was bad. I think the direction was bad of the, you know, I think that's really what it is. I think the direction was kind of bad. Um, I think that Chloe Zhao has a lot of talent. I think she's extremely talented, but I think she needs to. She's like a jack of all trades. I think she needs to home in on one thing, instead. Like she did like three things. She co-edited. She directed it. She wrote the screenplay. She co-wrote the screenplay. So she did three things, man. It's like, and that's the thing. It's like, and a lot of times when directors do that, I've noticed like their films kind of suffer because you're stretching yourself thin. I think that it's better when you kind of take a step back and play one thing, like just direct, you know, and then let someone else edit it, because then it's like let a fresh set of eyes come in and look at this from a different perspective, and because then someone else could be like, yeah, I like this, but we don't need that. Yeah, I like this, but we don't need it. Doesn't mean that you can't come in and say, well, we do need that because there's a point to having that, you know, because it's gonna make, and then it could be debated, you know, but then at least you would know you have an outside perspective telling you, hey, let me just say this is just, you don't need this, because I know you really want it, but I get the point, you know. I know you want to do it to kind of like, you know, send that point home, but we get it. We don't need you to hit that nail on the head over and over again, you know. And I think that's the thing. She just kind of she spreads herself thin. Well, if this is the way she directs her films, she's spreading herself way too thin. You know, I think she's great. She shows great potential. I think she's a great vision. I think she's a great vision. You know, but I think that she probably should back off screenplays. And I think she should back off editing. I think those are two things she needs to step away from. I think she needs to home in on directing. I think she's a great director. I think she needs, and that's why the movie suffers, because she's not focusing on one aspect. I think she needs to focus on just directing. And when she's done, leave it to some other editor to do the job. And she needs to let the screenplay just have the screenplay do it. You know, I don't think she needs to be working on the screenplay. You know, I think she will be way more successful if she just homes in on her directing ability, because this movie's not a failure. This movie's not a 0 out of 5, not at all. But unfortunately, I'm gonna have to give it a 2.5 out of 5. It's lower than a lot of mediocre films, in my opinion, that I've watched, because it's exhausting. The film, and that's the thing. You don't want your film. That's the worst. That's the worst feeling to get in a film. And when a movie exhausts me, that's not a good thing at all. It's like I don't. A movie should not feel like work. You know, and it's like, and then people say, well, it's a sad story, it's a tragedy. Yeah, again, I know it's a tragedy. I'm a fan of tragic stories, and actually one of my favorite genres of stories is tragedies. I prefer tragedy than a happy ending sometimes. I think the sad endings are have more potency than the happy endings. You know, but you know, when I watch a movie, Shakespeare movie, or when I read Shakespeare, I don't feel sad after I watch it. I feel like I've learned something about humanity. It's more of like a a character study, you know. I think that's what's fun about it. It's not really like, it's not something that I'm not as affected. Yes, I'm affected by the emotions, and I can get emotional in his stories, but at the same time, I think that you could still make something that has a lot more variety than just one note with a tragedy, you know. But yeah, I think this is a pretty long video, damn near about to make this an hour. Good water. Good sparkling water. But yeah, this is a 2.5 out of 5. Frustrating. That's my score for that. And I know that there's a lot of people I know there's gonna be a lot of people online that are gonna be like, you're a fucking idiot. You think that this movie is a 2.5 out of 5? And it's like, listen, I'm not gonna follow the hype. I'm just giving you, and if you feel like this is a 5 out of 5 film, all the power to you. I think reviews are only like self-expressions. And I think if you think a movie's bad, and I disagree with you, I at least want you to explain yourself thoroughly of why you don't like it. And I think I explained myself thoroughly. Damn near the review I made is an hour long, so you can't say I'm just up here jibber jabbering, you know. But yeah, I mean, personally for me, I found the film frustrating, exhausting, and at times kind of cringy. You know, and it has nothing to do with Jessie Buckley. I think she carries the film by herself. Like, really, like, that woman is amazing. I think she is a actor. She is a talent, and I think the movie. And I think that's the thing. I think that the movie really stands up you know, on its own because of her, you know. And you know, I think if there's awards, I think that it should go to her. I really think it should go to Jessie Buckley. I think Chloe Zhao for You know, the vision. I think she. You know, I do. If this movie gets awards, I'm not gonna be. I'm not gonna be shocked. You know, but I'm just personally. I don't think. I personally just didn't like it. I think it's. I think that this movie had potential being way better than what it was. That's the thing, and I just don't think it ever hit that for me. And I think that is for me personally a huge letdown and disappointment because I was very excited to see it. Like I was excited to see this movie, but you know, it is what it is. So it's a 2.5 for me. I hope you guys are doing well out there. Um, if you've seen it, please let me know in the comments below. Um, and if you stayed the whole video, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And as always, may the force be with you. Peace and out.